you guys doing today? Looks kind of foggy and hazy on there. Let me wipe off the lens real quick. I don't know what's going on with my camera. Let me know if that didn't do any good, did it? Maybe I'll scoot forward. Let me know how the audio and video are before I get too far started on here, and then I'll run off with my usual spiel of Fat man, I love that comment, man. I love that comment. That is awesome. Let me know how the audio and video is. It looks like the video's kind of, for whatever reason on my end, it looks like it's really cloudy, which doesn't make any sense because it might be a light issue. So let me turn a light on. Audio is good, but very blurry. Okay, let me turn a light on and see if this helps out any. Hopefully, we won't have the same issues this week that we had last week with internet connectivity. Let's see here. Do. Well, that did it. We needed some background light. That was all. Anyway, I am Sean in Alaska. Welcome, you guys. Glad you could join me this Sunday. I try to go live every Sunday from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till 4. I like to keep it just short, just to an hour, except obviously on the big day, Christmas Day. I always go live for a little bit longer. I like to say hello to everybody. So if you want to say hello in the chat, know that I'm going to say hello to you and I'm going to call you out on here. You do not have to feel obligated to text or to message anything, to send anything through the chat at all. If you just want to hang out and visit and listen to what other people have to say and listen to this knucklehead while he's live, you're more than welcome to do that as well. With that said, let me jump all the way back up here at the top. Marcus, welcome, man. Good to see you. Awesome to see you, my friend Joseph. I told you it was coming, right? Happy Sunday. A brisk 21 in Philly, 7 inches of snow during the week. You've had enough already. Nice. It was minus 15. See below there? Minus 26C this morning. So, Todd, that will answer your question that I saw that's coming up here pretty quick. But as I was driving into town at the last minute, I wasn't going to town today, and then I ended up having to run into town at the last minute this morning. It was 23 below zero on the drive in. But right now, I think I'm at a balmy 4 or 5 degrees above zero, which is awesome. And the chickens are out running around. Just fantastic. Charles and Annalyn, good to see you. Glad you can make it today. A little overcast in 80s in the Philippines. Very humid this morning. Robert, welcome, my friend. Glad to have you here at Curmudgeon. You guys, if you are not following this channel, you need to. He turns on his weather cam, which is just super cool. And although I always talk about how I am off grid, and I am, that man right there, right there, him and his wife, really off grid. Can't get to his place by road. You cannot get there by driving. Todd, that answers your question. Yeah, it was 15 below zero this morning at one point. And then I guess it warmed up since that, but 23 degrees below zero on the way into town. Joe Montano, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. 19 degrees Fahrenheit and freezing rain in the forecast. I can't stand freezing rain. It's the only weather I don't like is freezing rain. When I see that, I just stay home. I'm like, that's it. Nope, I'm not going anywhere. Robert Steele wants to know what the most snow I've gotten here in 24 hours. And I think you asked that on last week's video in a comment, and I answered you, but I'll answer you here again too. If that wasn't you, then you'll get the answer anyway. I think the most snow that I've had since I've been in Alaska, and that's since 2013, in this part of Alaska. The most snow we've probably had in one day is maybe 2.5 feet. But I come from California, and while it may seem very weird, it was not uncommon to get 5 or 6 feet of snow in one 24-hour period where I lived in California. So we do get a lot of snow. The difference is that here it stays once it falls usually, and it just keeps piling up. Remy at Rem's Family Farm, good to see you, my friend. Glad you can make it. Awesome to see you. Thank you for that comment also on the thumbs up. It does help the channel. I greatly appreciate it if you guys do hit that thumbs up. And if you're watching on your TV, I don't know how to do it. I'm not Russell. Russell could tell you with the remote, you go, doot, doot, doot. I don't know how to do any of that. But if you're watching on TV, fantastic. Thanks. I think that's super cool. Matt, welcome, brother. I did get your email. I did not send reply back to you, but I'll just do it here, and then I'll reply via email as well. Don't worry about it, man. I appreciate it very much, but I have to start reducing the amount of things that I have because I am quickly, since I left the trailer and moved into the cabin, I'm quickly acquiring more stuff, and I don't want to acquire more stuff because then I'm going to have to build extra rooms. And I already have one extra room, a bedroom that I want to build off the side, but I'm going to be limited for what I can store here. Scott at Hester's Garage, good to see you, my friend. Awesome to have you here today. Glad you could pop in. Sherry Conklin, hello in Virginia from Funny River, Alaska. Great to have you here today as well. Sarah Boss, hello and welcome. Glad you could pop in. Everything is doing fantastic. We had a gorgeous day yesterday. Excuse me there for a second. If you saw the thumbnail, I took that picture yesterday. It was just phenomenally beautiful. It was cold in the morning, probably about 8 degrees below zero when I got up yesterday to head out. And then I headed down to Homer just because it was time to make a drive. And I didn't do any work at all this weekend on the cabin, none whatsoever. But I stopped and got a bunch of video and got a bunch of pictures, and they'll all be part of next week's video. But it was just absolutely gorgeous yesterday. Josh, welcome, my friend. Good to have you here today. Ginger Mast, awesome that you can make it today. It was cold there in northern Indiana this morning, 2 below zero, warmed up to 17 above. 17's nice. 17's very doable. And Fat Man's comment when I first got everything started, brother, I love that. That's smart. The movie has started. Nice. Joanna Bowers, good to see you. Awesome that you could be here today. Raquel Hernandez, glad you are in today. Hope you are feeling much, much better. From Florida, I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing absolutely, I'm very relaxed. If you can't tell right now, I am just, it did me a world of good to kind of remove myself from the cabin equation and the whole building and everything else. And I might take a couple of weeks off. I'll still do videos for you guys because where I go, you go. But it was very very relaxing yesterday, just getting out and about. Matter of fact, Todd said, "Hey, where were you yesterday? I came by your house 3 times and you were never home." Well, I was gone from I guess I probably left here around 10:30 in the morning yesterday, and I didn't get home last night till about 7 o'clock last night. It was a good day. Marcus says it's 5 by 5 now. Video's blurry. Hopefully that's fixed. Low res video. Audio is low. Hopefully that's fixed. Sound is good. Video's okay. Destiny, welcome. Glad you can make it today. Video's a bit blurry, but the audio is good. I hope that is fixed. We'll see in a second here. Carol L, glad you can make it today. Awesome to have you here. Smiley, what's up, brother? I was wearing the IRFU hat earlier all day today, matter of fact, and all day yesterday. But I took it off because it was too warm inside the cabin now. Right now, I've got 73 degrees, almost 74 degrees upstairs, and roughly 70 degrees downstairs here. I might have to turn the heater down in a couple of minutes, so it's staying much warmer than it did in the trailer. Much warmer than it did in the trailer. Troy Sutton, welcome. Glad you can be here. Just check in, say hello, give a big thumbs up. Greatly appreciate it, man. I know it's playoff weekend, right? And Detroit. I don't get much into sports, but I'm pretty excited for the Detroit Lions right now. I'm very excited for the Detroit Lions right now. I would like to see that team go all the way, just because it has been so long, and it's just awesome to see. I love when teams do that, man. When they just come out of oblivion, they were like 3-10, what, 3 seasons ago, and they are one game away from the Super Bowl now. Just awesome, super cool, super cool. Navy Dave, welcome, brother. Good to see you. Awesome, awesome, awesome that you could pop in. Good. Okay, so the light did fix it. That was kind of crazy. I was going to go without the light this whole time, and then I couldn't get my. I thought it was for sure it was a stupid camera lens, but it was not. Joe's saying the audio is still low. Anybody else got that issue? Just let me know. If you hear the buzzing in the background, that's because I do have the generator running right now. I'm topping off batteries, and I wanted to get the OPS 1800-watt power um, uh, portable power station charged up so that I could not have to run the generator every day for the next couple of days. Steve Grounds, welcome, brother. Good to see you. Glad you can make it today. Hope you and your wife are doing well. Karen, welcome. Good to see you. Awesome, awesome to have you here today. And if you missed it, Karen, when you came in, or if you came in a little bit late, it was 15 below zero here this morning. But when I got back from a couple of errands I had to run last minute in town, it was like right at zero, and the chickens were all outside and they were all playing. So they're doing fantastic. Both the ladies and the black beauties are doing incredible. Brady G, welcome, my friend. Good to see you today. Not much, man. Just hanging out with you guys on a Sunday. Warren, going in hot. What's happening, brother? Good to see you. Glad you could make it today. I think we should move this party to the Caribbean. The only thing chilled is the beverages. Yeah, I don't do well in heat, man. I don't do well in heat. If I'm ever going to go south on a vacation, though, this is probably the time of year I'd go because at least it's not too hot. And there's the other half of Warren. How are you? Good to see you today. Looking at very cold temps we're expected to have for the next 2 weeks minimum, I know. But we're due, right? I mean, it's Alaska, and we have had a super, super mild winter so far. Um, and we're just a couple of months out of the temperature starting to go the other direction. So I'm not going to complain about this kind of temperature, these kind of temperatures and this kind of weather. We have dodged a bullet all winter long so far. So, you know, hit me with your cold. Come on, Alaska. Give it to me. You gave it to the lower 48. We can do it up here. Dave says, I think I've asked in the past, but do you have to go through any inspections for your cabin? I have to do electrical plumbing certification of occupancy. Um, in the borough that I am in, and in Alaska, we have boroughs, not counties. So if you're in a state that has counties, we're more like, I guess, what you would call New York with the way that they're structured. We have boroughs. New York has boroughs as well. Um, if you're in city limits of Soldotna, you have to go through the whole inspection process and everything else. But where I'm at, which is outside of the city of Soldotna, by about 16 miles, I'm in an unincorporated area, and I did not have to get any permits to build at all. What I if I put a if I put a septic system in, then the person that I hire to do the septic system, if I do hire somebody, um, will permit it himself, will certify it himself in their license to do that. Or the state actually offers a class that I can go to, and I would still have to apply for the permit, but I can certify it myself once I've gone through that class. And I forget what the cost was, or even if there is a cost associated with it. So permits here, nothing. Inspections don't really exist. Just a few things that you actually have to have permitted. Um, One is supposed to be the driveway, but that's if you have to put a culvert in. And the way that I read the rules, I didn't have to put a culvert in on my side of the road because no one else had a culvert on my side of the road. So I didn't even bother to apply for that. So hopefully I don't get in trouble for that. But other than that, nothing required at all, man. Oh, Robert, you've had high winds since yesterday afternoon. Yeah, we haven't had much of the way of wind down here at all. It's been really, really quiet, really, really mellow. Brady G says 41 to try to rain in Idaho. I'm loving the snow. It's melting fast. It does that, right? You get just a whole bunch all of a sudden, and then next thing you know, it's like going everywhere. And you'll no, stop, stay. Ward, what's up, brother? Hey, send me a text. And if you need me to pick you something up in town tomorrow, just let me know. Yeah, but send me a message, and I'm in town tomorrow working, so I'm more than happy to pick up anything you need, brother. Yeah, so Smiley, you guys have a storm coming in that I guess is pretty good sized as well, because even a couple of folks that I follow on TikTok that are Irish creators in Ireland have been talking about this storm for the last couple of days, and then a couple from Scotland as well that said that when it's done with you, it's hitting them. So let us know how how big this thing's supposed to be for you. For those interested, that is Robert's link to his channel at Kermudge Inn. Check it out by all means. If you guys have not done so, check him out. He's a great guy. He's got a fun channel, and it's a totally. It amazes me that how many creators there are in Alaska, and all of us have a different type of lifestyle, right? I mean, we're all doing the Alaska thing, but our lifestyles are all so different, and his is much different than most that you will see. Susan, welcome. Glad you could be here today. Awesome to see you. Scrolling through. Destiny says the Arctic front's finally leaving us very slowly. I've told it. Sean in Alaska misses it. Destiny, you didn't have to do that. We'd have been fine without it the rest of the year. I wanted to give everybody in the lower 48 some white, this winter too. I mean, you didn't have to do that. Judith Wright, welcome. Glad you could be here today from Kingman, Arizona. Awesome to have you here. Thank you, Matt. Yeah, no, it is cool, man. It is cool. But again, I've got. So Matt had told me that he had one of these laptop stands, right? That just you set your laptop right on it, and it's aluminum. It's one of the. It's a neat little thing. But he had made the comment, since you said you were on egg cartons last week, the egg cartons work fine, man. They work. The people that I've met on here and the amount of friendships that I've developed through this channel are just blow my mind every day. It's super super crazy. Lakeside of Grateful, welcome. Glad you can make it today. It was minus 16 in southern Ontario, but we got sun for the first time in weeks. Yeah, we had a sunny, sunny day yesterday. God, it was gorgeous. When you guys see some of those pictures, they were phenomenal. Blue skies, just absolutely beautiful. All the way across the inlet, too. So, I could see Redoubt and Iliamna and every one of the mountains going down the chain. It was just breathtaking. Joseph, quick question. What happened to the deck foundation and can it be fixed? Okay, so in Friday's video, I mentioned that I had a problem, and the problem was that the deck was heaving. So right now my deck has, a nice smile to it, right? Yeah. Um, so when I built the cabin and I put in the sonotubes for the foundation for this cabin, I dug those holes pretty deep and I hit sand and really fine gravel, which is not generally affected by frost heaves. I did not go as deep on the concrete pads that I put outside on where the stairs end, right? Where the stairs come off on both sides of the deck. My bad. My mistake completely. But apparently, Sean has learned how to nail because I nailed those stairs so well to the edge of that deck that as the ground froze, we get what we call frost heaves up here. So all the moisture causes the ground to expand. So the ground is expanded on both sides of the deck. And as it's done so, it has lifted up both sides of the deck. I don't think it's an end all situation. It's not a 911. I'm up there walking on it left and right every day, and it hasn't brought up any of the boards on the top of the deck. It's just brought the entire deck up on both sides. So I built that thing pretty well. Um, I'll wait until spring. I'll see where it settles out when we get a thaw in the springtime and all the snow is gone, and then I'll have to make adjustments. I'm thinking that what I'll probably do is I'll probably detach the stairs from both sides and then hinge them on both. So at the top of the stairs it'll be like a hinge. Well, it's not secured on the bottom of the stairs anyway. That's just floating on top of that concrete pad. So what I'll do is by putting the hinge in there next winter, when it decides it's going to start lifting, it'll do this, but it will pivot on that top edge. It'll make the stairs a little bit on the wonky side, but my only other option would be to remove those concrete pads, to dig down to that sand, fine gravel layer, and then backfill it in again with sand, and then go ahead and replace those concrete pads on there. And I don't know if I want to go through that whole hassle. So that's what happened to it. But it's not destroying anything at this point. And if it breaks a little bit of wood, I'm not really worried about that either. I could fix that. But the good thing is that I didn't finish everything on that deck. If I would have had the railing on there, that railing would have been cracked by now. Dimensional Horse, good to see you, my friend. Glad you can make it. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm really happy with how the walls finished out in the kitchen. I'm very, very happy with that. Brady G wants to know when the fireplace goes in. There's really no hurry on that. I'm getting ready to start setting stone for the hearth behind it, but I don't feel like digging the scaffolding out, which I would need to do to run the pipe all the way up to the outside of the roof. So, like I said, this winter I'm staying super warm, so there's no real big deal about putting that in too fast. What caused the front deck to separate from the joists? Well, that was as the wood was pushing up on both sides of the deck, it raised it off of both of the beams that stick out on the front. It did not raise it, or it doesn't look like it's raised it from the edge of the cabin yet. So I kind of answered on why that happened, but at this point, it's still sitting on the middle beam with no problem whatsoever. The deck itself is still pretty. It's level. It's not a big deal, but you know, live and learn. That's the first big problem I've had since I started this whole thing, and I am not going to complain about it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Destiny. I do. I'm looking. Yeah, it's just one coat of paint. I have a little over half a gallon left, and I've kind of tossed around possibly doing a second coat, but at this point, I don't really see any reason to do it. If I need to put more paint on it after I get the cabinets installed, I've got that paint, and I'll just go ahead and do it then. I agree, man. IRFU is the best, right? It is the best. Got that hat during Six Nations Rugby in 2019 in Dublin, Ireland. My brother and I were there. He knows, though. That's where I met Smiley. Mark Davidson, good to see you. Glad you can make it today. Ashley, it's my daughter. What's up? Tell your mom I'm munching on that salami. It's delicious, man. It is incredible. I had a snack of salami just before I got started. Let me show you guys real quick. I love this stuff. the greatest salami ever. Molinari and Sons out of San Francisco. Yum, yum, yum. In fact, I'll put that over here because I'm sure that'll be a snack later. And while I'm up, let me show you guys, if you haven't seen it yet, what the stone's going to look like. So the members of the channel have actually seen what the stone's going to look like because I have it kind of laid out over here on the floor. But this is what's going to back the wood stove. So this is the hearth, the stuff that I'm going to install on the back of the hearth behind the wood stove, and it's gorgeous. It is gorgeous. I'll post a picture Monday or Tuesday on the community tab so that everybody can see it. But yeah, I'm super excited because it's super beautiful. Super seems to be the word of the day today. CK, welcome. Glad you can make it today. Awesome to have you here. I thought I answered that, but if you missed it, Detroit. I'd like to see Detroit. I'm a Minnesota Viking, or I was a diehard Minnesota Viking fan. I don't really watch sports that often anymore. It's kind of difficult for me to watch them. I did stop off last night and root a little bit for Green Bay, even though I was born and raised in San Francisco, just because I thought it would be fun to have Green Bay against Detroit in that last game before the Super Bowl. But yeah, I'd like to see Detroit do it. Sarah, remember when you have plastic insulation on the walls, it will make it look blurry. True, yeah, but that was mainly, I think, because of the light from the camera. Gotta try and catch up here. Audio, video's fine. Eves, welcome, my friend. Glad to see you today. Glad you could make it. 63 clocks. Glad you could pop in. Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. I'm super stoked with how that turned out. Art, good to see you, brother. This man has been working 7 days a week so that he can get up here in May and start working on his property right down the road from me. And he wants to spend a couple of months up here. And brother, when you do, we will break bread often. I am looking forward to you being back up here again, Art. Ann O'Brien, how are you? Good to see you. Glad you can make it this evening. Bill, Lone Moose, how are you, brother? Good to see you. Any snow to go along with the cold temps? Not this week. No, we're crystal clear blue skies. We got some clouds that moved in this morning, but I don't really think we have much snow in the forecast at all. At least for the next week, I didn't see anything over about 20%. That dimensional horse has this comment here. Love that you're keeping your cabin semi old fashioned, Sean. I didn't want to build a originally when I wanted to build a cabin up here. I wanted to build a log cabin, but obviously you've seen the property and you know that my trees are not really big enough to do a log cabin, so then I'd had to buy the logs, and that would have defeated the whole purpose. Especially since I'd never built anything before. I still plan on building a log cabin someday. Trust me, I'm not done. But I want it to remain as simple as I possibly can. I've taught myself over the last few years how to live with a lot less than I've ever lived with before. So um, by being able to live like that there, this is going to be nicer. There'll be some modern conveniences in here, obviously, but I don't want to go back to being um, needful. I don't want the necessities that I had before. I don't want to be held into place by those. So I'm trying to keep it as simple as I can. Nice. Shot of sarsaparilla. That's the drink that won the West right there, folks. For you that don't know what it is, sarsaparilla is from the sarsaparilla root. Think of root beer, but a whole lot more flavor. Richard, welcome, brother. Good to see you. Glad you can make it today. When am I going to take you fishing again? I was just thinking about that because there's a couple of charters that go out. Maybe I'll book something in February. But there's a couple of charters that go out of Homer that do king salmon and crab. So we drop a crab pot as we head out, and then we go fishing all day long, and then when we're done, as we come back in, we pull that crab pot out, and then we get to keep crab too. So there'll probably be a fish and crabbing trip coming up in the next month or so. How long before I get the home the way I want it? Robert's asking. It keeps changing because every time I get something done, something else pops in my head that I think I'd like to do. So I will probably be working on this place until the day that I die, only because there's so much that more that I want to do, and it's not just inside, obviously, right? It's outside too. Um, before I get the inside, I probably have another year, maybe another year and a half before I get the inside dialed into what I want. And then after that, it's building all the other outbuildings that I plan on building around the property itself. Brady, been watching 30 show, a streamer on Twitch Drive here from Oregon. They're in Anchorage now. Okay, cool. My Alaska, what's happening, brother? Good to see you. Glad you can make it today. Destiny says, "Do most of your storms come from the north? I'd hate to think you driving to work in an oncoming storm. That's not a lot of fun." I've driven in a lot of storms before, and I really haven't seen a storm. I've seen some windstorms up here that have been pretty crazy, but I've never seen a snowstorm that was to the point that I couldn't drive through it. I mean, I learned how to drive in the Sierra Nevadas in California, and you get some brutal storms that come through there. Like I said, massive, massive snowfalls. But I really haven't had that issue here. Most of our storms, it seems to me, either come from the east, the southeast kind of, but they basically that uh, oh, what am I thinking the name of it is? The Gulf of Alaska. They get generated there and they come there, or they come over from Japan, kind of come over like here's Japan and here's Alaska. They come over from Japan and swirl down and then back up into Alaska. So we get a lot of typhoon remnants, that kind of stuff here. But nothing actually from the north working its way down. We just get the cold air from the north working its way down. Trudy, welcome. Glad you can make it today. Cabin's looking great. Thank you. 23 Fahrenheit in Atlanta, Georgia. That is chilly. That is chilly for the South. I saw that. Brady saying, "Did you see the Buffalo area? 70 plus inches of lake effect snow." I think the most snow I've ever seen in my life, growing up on the news or anything, has been in Buffalo, New York, because they every once in a while they just get hammered. It is crazy. Ann says we are on orange storm alert from till 4 a.m. Monday morning. It has eased down a good bit now. Good, good. Esteban Playa, welcome, my friend. Good to see you. Hope everyone's having a great evening. North Texas here, cold and drizzling. Okay. Kathy Stafford, welcome. Glad you could pop in today. Had a heat wave here in Michigan. It was 20 and sunny out. Can't wait to see the cupboards. I can't wait to start working on them. To be honest with you, I'm getting pretty excited about building the cabinets. I really am. That was my thought too. It shouldn't be too difficult to fix that deck, and that's why I'm not out there doing anything on it now. If I have to replace a few boards, I have to replace a few boards, but it wasn't finished, which is going to be a lot easier than if I had finished the whole thing out. Canadian Jerry, what's happening, man? Good to see you, brother. That'll work, Joseph. Come on up, man. I'll grill you steaks. I'll grill you steaks. Nah, not so much. Would think if it were to have heaved, it would have done it last year. No, and I'll explain why it didn't. Now you've got me worried. I have a 16 by 16 platform with 4 foot sonotubes I put in before last winter. They were fine. So the reason why um, it didn't it didn't heave last year, the ground heaved. I didn't have the deck. I didn't have the stairs installed until this last summer. So this is the first winter with those stairs going under the deck, and it was the stairs that have pushed up both sides. So everything else, the deck itself is completely fine because it's elevated, it's cantilevered. So that's not an issue. You should be fine with your sonotubes. You should be fine. No, I'm worried they'll heave this spring. Spring's not the issue, man. It's winter when we get these deep cold temperatures and that moisture down below starts freezing, and it can only go one way, right? It can't expand down because there's more earth below it, so it's going to expand up every time, and that's the issue that you run into when you build in the north. Jonathan Davis from Sneedville, Tennessee. Awesome to see you, my friend. Glad you can make it today. Currently minus zero point 0.1 degrees Fahrenheit in Willow, Alaska. Nice. You guys saw the stone now, so I'm getting caught up. Thank you very much. I have good taste. That's a nice backsplash. I got all that stuff for free. One of the people that I work with, she heard me talking about I need to go start looking at some stone, and her husband had a bunch of it left over. And I said, "What do you want for it?" She goes, "I'll just give it to you." So she gave me all that stone for free. It is gorgeous. It is, and I knew I wanted slate, but when I saw that, I went, "Oh yeah, I gotta have that. I gotta do that." I agree. The stone's gonna look beautiful. It's a nice looking tile, thin set and 3/8 inch notch trowel will work perfectly. I bought one. I'm ready to go with that. Junior Gridley, good to see you, my friend. How are you doing today? Are you getting the itch to start gardening, Junior? Because I am. Getting the itch for all the snow to be gone, to see the ground, and to actually start doing some gardening this year. Thank you very much. Yeah, I was really happy with how it came out too. I was super, super excited when I put that first coat of primer on it and saw it that it covered almost everything up. And then when I hit it with that second coat, I went, "Oh man, this is nice. This is nice." Tin Can Campers, welcome. Glad to see you from Kisilov. Awesome to have you here today. Joseph spent 30 years doing tile, marble, stone, and glass. Wet bed floors took a toll on my. Yeah, I can see. Now that I've done a project like this, or have started doing more and more aspects of the project, of building the cabin and trying to do everything by myself, I now have a better understanding how guys and gals that are in the trade fall apart when they get to a certain age. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do for work, it will take a toll on your body because of the repetitiveness of whatever you are doing. I mean, even if you're at a keyboard all day long, right? Your back has problems, your wrists get problems. If you're a baker like I was for a year, your hands get issues, your arms get issues, your back gets issues from lifting stuff up all the time. I can see how the tradespeople have the problems that they have, and I'm just doing minor work compared to what they've done. I'll let you know, man. I'll let you. You know what would be fun is if we can get a bunch of guys together to go on that trip, because I know the guy I want to go out with, and we could book his boat. I'll get back to you guys. I'll send you out an email and let you know. But that would be a fun, fun trip, wouldn't it? That would be a ton of fun. The man on the street. Al, what's happening? Let's talk the pleasures of sheetrock and Durock. The Durock was super easy to put up because I didn't have to do like all the way to the ceiling. But and the sheetrock was super simple because it was just two layers in one room. But man, I could see where that could physically hurt somebody after a while. John, welcome, man. Good to see you. I love the way you talk. I'm trying to do that off grid with less. I'm doing the same thing, right? Yeah, it's you know I tell people all the time that you don't want to do the things the way that I do them. You want to do the things the way that you want to do them. And I'm the same way, right? I see, I watch Simple Living Alaska, or I'll watch My Self Reliance, which are two channels that I watch a lot of. Or I'll watch 50 Acres in a Cabin, and Mike is a craftsman like Beyond. Or I'll watch Jay and Jen, and I'll see them do something. I'll go, man, I want to do something like that. But then we all tweak it to however we want it, whatever makes sense for us. And I think that's what is really, really cool about YouTube in general is that there are so many. I call it University of YouTube. There are so many people doing kind of variations on the same thing that you could really find ways to do stuff that you would never have thought of before. Scrolling down. Mike McKinley, welcome. Glad you could be here today. And if I miss saying hello to you guys or I miss your question, do me a favor and put it in caps so that I catch it. And if I've already answered it by the time I get to it, I'm more than happy to just skip over that. Just want to say hello, Sean. Dropping in. Have to go. Sorry. And maybe 4 inches so far. That's it. All right, Mike. Thanks for stopping in, brother. I greatly appreciate it. Add with the option to skip. Just saying. I think ads and lives are going to be here forever now with YouTube. So I can get in there, I think, and turn them off. I think I have them turned down about as low as I can have them turned down. So if they become a problem, let me know. And then I would have to do something different where I don't monetize the live stream until after it's done, and then I can go in and I could set it up differently on the other end. Just let me know if it becomes too much of a problem. I agree, Junior. Yeah, it's going to be an easy fix in the spring. Yeah, I didn't have the deck in yet. I did not have the deck in yet. A great time with Russell. Oh, did I miss that? So was Russell live this weekend? Because I looked and I didn't see it on Friday night. There's probably frost heaves on your property. There probably, I would guarantee there's frost heaves on your property. But if you went deep with your sonotubes, you're not going to have a problem with that. You'll be fine, man. You'll be fine. So Destiny wants to know with a ballpark figure, how much does the cabin cost so far? Probably about $25,000. Um, do the math in my head. Roughly probably about 25K, but that's probably including the land as well. I paid 10 grand for the land, and I probably have 15 grand in lumber and essentials since then. But I've been pretty frugal about doing it. I could have spent a lot more money a lot faster, but I would have had to finance that, and I'm trying to do this all with cash. So, I mean, that's why there's still open walls and ceiling in here. I didn't want to spend the money on lumber to finish all that off. I could have. I mean, I could have just gone crazy and done everything and had it all done, which, on some hands it's probably better because then I'd be moving into a finished place and it's a lot easier to live in a place that's done than to try and finish a place that you're living in, but I'm pretty happy with the way it's worked out. Bill says, I sent you a message a couple of days ago about solar systems. Oh, I will. I'll take a look at it, Bill. Definitely. Thank you. Right, Junior? The garden fever slowly coming in, slowly creeping in. Thank you, Joseph. I greatly appreciate that. Hitting the thumbs up not only helps the channel, but it suggests the live stream to other people. And I generally have super awesome folks in my lives. We almost never have a problem in my live stream. So I let everybody comment the minute they come in. They don't have to be subscribed to the channel or anything. It gives them a chance to see what this is all about. And I'm all for that. That is super nice. I did marble floors for a number of years, then went into and did CNC work, countertop slabs. It was fun watching. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, my brother does CNC work, or he used to. He's a sailor now. He's a merchant mariner now. But yeah, he did. He ran CNC machines for quite a few years. I love some of the counters. I actually had thought about maybe trying my hand at building epoxy counters for the cabin, but my kitchen background really says I want a butcher block counter in my kitchen. Include me on the fishing trip info. The only problem is, Bill, that by the time you get here, you can't do any crabbing. But that doesn't mean we can't go fishing, because I'll go fishing no matter what. But you can't. The crabbing is only a winter thing that you can do up here. Scrolling through. Is it time for ice cream yet? No, there'll be no ice cream this weekend. Tonight's dinner though is going to be spectacular because I picked up some hot dog buns and some hot dogs, and I got some chili. So I'm going to make some big old chili dogs for dinner tonight. It's going to be delicious. He might be. He was last weekend when he was in here. He said he was under the weather, so he might still be dealing with that. But good. I didn't want to. I didn't want to miss it. Oh, Karen, you had one on your TV, but none on the cell phone yet. Okay, cool. Very cool. Thank you for that. Greatly appreciate it. Russell, what's happening, brother? Good to see you. Still a little under the weather, man. You were sick last weekend too. Getting better soon, man. Everybody's talking about were you live? I didn't see your live on Friday. While that is excellent, the cabin cost. Smart that you did it with cash. And let's face it, the cabin is very livable just now. It is. And do not give me a great deal of credit for money management. Okay, I do not think that this was Sean is just this economical wizard because I'm an idiot. Um, I I did it with cash because I did not want to incur any more debt. I could get a loan tomorrow. I know I could, but I don't want the bills. And I'll be 62 years old this year, and when I retire, I don't want any debt. I don't want any bills other than the basics for the occasional use of the credit card. But this was mainly because Sean's just cheap. Jill, welcome. Glad you could pop in today. You can smell the drywall dust when you're standing. Yeah, look at this, right? It's one of my sanders. There is still drywall dust all over the inside of this cabin. It's funny. Every time I get to like a section, I'll be like, "Oh man, stop, clean it all up." Then I'll be okay. It's all done. Then I'll turn around a couple of days later, move something, go have to clean all that up. Nice. Where was I at here? Where'd I go? Oh, there we go. Junior butcher block. You just gave me an idea, Sean. Yep, butcher block counters, man. They're gorgeous. Butcherball countertops. Would you be interested in walnut? The Habitat for Humanity store has 8 foot long by 2 foot wide. No, not walnut. Not it's that's too beautiful, man. That is too beautiful. I would love to do that, but that is. First of all, in the kitchen, I'm trying to keep everything as light as I possibly can because it is a dark room and it's a room that's going to see a lot of use for me. So I want to keep everything as light as possible. But walnut is way too gorgeous for me to ever want to cut on, to chop on. So yeah, I appreciate it, but no, that would be terrible. I saw that you're doing another UPIC in May, and that's a great way to get stuff up here to Alaska. And check out Bill at the Lone Moose. He's got a channel on YouTube as well because he's in the process of moving stuff up here, and I'm sure he's got a video. I'm sure you have something about that, right, Bill, on how you ship everything up here and the stuff that you have to deal with getting stuff up here because you're bringing much more up with you than I did. When I came to Alaska, I didn't bring hardly anything. If it didn't fit in the motorhome that I moved up in here or up here in, it didn't come to Alaska with me. It was gone. Not with bacon. I had bacon and eggs this morning for breakfast, so not too much. Oh, Al. Al drops the gauntlet. Russell is also a weenie. Christy, welcome. How are you? It's awesome to see you today. I'm almost caught up. That is awesome. You have 2 videos on the channel about your UPAC experience. It's been positive both times. That is awesome. That is super cool. Speaking of the legends themselves, Jay and Jen, it's just hardwood butcher block, and you buy them at the orange store, right? They've got the in commercial restaurants, it's booze block, BOOS, but the orange store has butcher block countertops. I think they're birch. I'll have to look and see what type of wood they are, but they have the butcher block countertops that you basically just buy the whole slab, and then I'll cut them to fit in the corners and stuff like that on top. But it is awesome to see you guys, Jay and Jen. Glad you could pop in today. Right, it's that time of year, man. So I eat Monday through Friday. I have a bowl of oatmeal every morning for breakfast. That's all I eat for breakfast is a bowl of oatmeal. I may, on occasion, throw a cookie in there with it, but on the weekends is when I cook because I'm home. I'm eating breakfast at work, so on the weekends when I'm home, it's bacon and eggs or sausage and eggs. It's something and eggs every weekend. Junior, the chickens are doing fantastic. They're not laying any eggs right now. So unlike a lot of folks, I do not heat or provide artificial light to my chicken coops, and I do that to give them a break in the winter so that their natural cycle can do what it's going to do, and because I'm too cheap to actually run lights and stuff out there. But I think that the natural way of doing it will mean that my chickens will lay eggs for a much longer period than they normally would. I'm not going to get any more eggs because a chicken is born with the amount of eggs that it is ever going to lay. But it will just extend the period of time where I will actually get eggs from them. So, Forrest, welcome. Glad you can make it, man. Awesome to see you today. Bill saying the orange store has alder butcher block countertops. Yes, okay, they're alder. They were alder or birch. I knew they were one of the two. Right on, man. Awesome to have you guys here. You guys are a hoot. You're just characters. Just so fun to watch. Joseph wants to know if I have any gold mining plans in the future. So I grew up in California, and I grew up in the mother lode in California. So I've already got some experience of panning for gold and that kind of stuff behind me, and I don't see myself doing that again. The only gold I'm going to go after up here is probably going to be the edible kind. I'll go mushrooms. Hunting. I'll go. I would like to get out and do some clamming. That would be a ton of fun. So that's the kind of stuff I'm into now. My hands get too cold in that ice cold water, and sit there rocking that pan in that water for hours and hours on end. You could get gold, but man, it's miserable. It's miserable. Oh, nice, Jill. You're doing butcher block on your island. Very cool. Karen, I have not had any moose on the property lately, but at least none that I can see. I see tracks every once in a while, but that usually happens while I'm at work. But Yesterday, I drove down to Homer and drove back, and I bet you I saw 15 moose on that trip. It was crazy, especially on the trip home in the evening as the sun was getting ready to set. Every time I turned my head, there was a moose. It was just nuts. I'm frugal, Junior. I like to say I'm frugal. My kids will tell you I'm cheap. They're right. I'm cheap. Jill's asking, how many chickens do I have? Right now, I have 15 hens. So I have eight black Australorps and I have seven Rhode Island Reds. And I started with 11 on the black Australorps. One of those was a rooster. Um, and then I started with 12 on the Rhode Island Reds, but I took too long to get the coop in and to get their chicken run in and covered, and I lost a few to aerial predators. This is true. Happy birthday, Jay. I heard you're going to be an old man if you're not already. Michigan Daffodil, welcome. Good to see you. Been watching and listening since about 2 minutes in. Busy making a birthday gift. Won't half repurposed jeans pant leg. Okay. When you drove down to Homer, did you happen to notice if your shelter logic was still standing? Bill, I looked, and I think I looked too late. Um, because, and I looked on the way back too, but I totally spaced where the property's at. But I didn't see anything out of place. So I got to imagine it was probably okay, but I'll be down that way again and I'll just have to look. I'll pull up the address again and put it in my GPS because I totally spaced when I was driving down there. And I think I looked too late. Oh, definitely, Junior. Yeah, whenever you come to Alaska, definitely come on by, man. Let me know when, and we'll definitely get together. I'm all caught up. I love when I get all caught up. Man, we still have 10 minutes left, and I got all the way to the bottom of the chat. That's awesome. Yeah, it depends on where you're doing it. Like in California, it wasn't as bad because the water's much warmer. But up here, the water's a lot colder. Now, that's coming from a guy. I'll stand in the river in a kilt, wearing those water tog, shoes, those basic shoes that you wear when you go swimming and you keep shoes on. I'll stand in the river for that, and the water's coming up to my knees when I'm fishing, and my calves go numb, but it's not uncomfortable for me. But my hands get cold, and it's just tough when your hands get cold. Bill, no problem, Sean. The property doesn't. I know, right? You had a bunch of work done, so that's probably why I'm missing it completely. Navy Dave wants to know how the snow's doing on the roof. None stays on your 12-12. None stays on my 9-12 either, man. Right now, there's a little bit of ice up there, um, but maybe only a quarter of an inch, and that's just because we've been so cold. But the snow does not stay on that roof at all. It sheds right off. Super, super excited about that. Right? I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the Lions. I am. Well, we're down to about the last 10 minutes. So if you had any burning questions for me, now would be the time to get them in so I can get them answered beforehand. What you're going to see in next week's video is everybody's going to see what the stone looks like. Then I'm going to take you for a little bit of a trip around my part of Alaska because I'm a big proponent of exploring where you live because you live there for a reason, right? And I have not done enough of that. I went out and got some beautiful pictures, got some great video, um, and went over to Kenai, hit the beach in Kenai, went to bridge access, caught the river underneath the bridge there, did a time lapse. Hopefully, we got some. I didn't get a chance to see the time lapse yet, so I'm not sure how it turned out, but it should be neat no matter what anyway. And then headed down to Homer, got some pictures on the way down to Homer, and got some video when I got down there as well. So you'll see part of that, and then the original part of where I was going to build the hearth here on the back wall behind the wood stove. I was only going to go 4 feet wide, but it turns out that I have more stone than I thought I had, so I'm now going to go much wider than that. So I'll finish off the Durock on that wall and get ready to start putting mortar and stone on that wall. Before I do that, though, I want to lay the flooring, and then I'll build up on the wall after I do the flooring. So I still need to pick that up too. Al, great man, greatly appreciated. I love it. Here's your chance, guys. Free memberships right here. Super awesome. If you missed it, dinner tonight will be chili dogs. So chili dogs with cheese and onions. Yum, yum. It's gonna be yummy. Yeah, great videos of me. I'm glad you liked it. I don't ever want to climb on that roof again. If I have to, I have to. Probably not. I'll be heading up your direction. It won't be till after breakup. I'm just not going to get up there until after breakup. I'm sure of it. Just because I got too many things I want to do down here before then. I want to do a little exploring down this way again before I head back up north. But this summer I plan to be up that way as often as I possibly can. Oh, right on. Very cool. Very cool. That is awesome, Jay. That is so awesome. Bill, take care, man. Good to see you. Wonderful chatting with you as well. Catch you later, man. Jill wants to know what I'm going to do on the rest of the walls. Well, originally my plan was I was going to do like all wood on the inside, like every man wants to do inside of a cabin, right? But now I'm thinking there might be some more sheetrock involved than I had originally thought. So until I actually buy the material and do it, nothing's firm yet. It's here's the problem with me showing up anywhere in July: sockeye salmon, right? So in July, the Reds are hitting down here, and we are so busy that there is no way that I could get any time off of work during that period of time. It's impossible for me. August always works better for me. That's when I get out and do most of my fun stuff in Alaska. If I'm going to go camping or anything like that, either June or August. But July is just a dead month for me, man. There's way too many people here. There's way too many fish in the river. Joseph, be safe, man. Have a great week. Awesome to see you as always. Nice, Karen. What are you eating? What's Karen eating for dinner right now? That's kind of where I'm looking at. That's kind of what I'm looking at now, Jill. Is wood on the ceiling. I'm thinking I'm going to probably end up uh, doing drywall on the front peak and drywall on the back peak in the bedroom because again, I could paint that a really light color, like a white, and get a lot of reflective light from that. And when you're limited with the amount of windows that you have, whatever you can do in the way of reflective light greatly helps. So and then I really still want to do wood on the ceiling because I think that would be absolutely gorgeous. Michigan Daffodil, Sean, I've made one okay Pullman's bread and one great Pullman bread. Thanks for. Oh, awesome, very cool. I'm glad you did that. That is super cool. I think the key with doing a Pullman loaf is proofing it properly or rising the dough properly, right? So if you under proof or under rise that dough and put it in that pan and then go to bake it in the oven, you're not going to get the proper bloom, and it won't fill out every space in that pan like it should. Um, but if you have to hit that sweet spot for wherever you're at, and then when you pop it in the oven and you get that bloom in the oven, that rise in the oven, and it fills every corner in there, and you pull it out, that it's just super neat when that happens, when it works right. Brady, thanks, man, as always. Greatly appreciate you popping in for these. All of you folks, I greatly appreciate every one of you that shows up for the lives. It makes them a ton of fun for me to do. I hate the cold, but I love Alaska. Just gonna have to suck it up and move up. So you move to Alaska, right? There's actually some companies that are owned by people that during the summer they're in Alaska and during the winter they're in Costa Rica. So I'm just giving you an idea there, man. Just throwing that out. I know you don't like sheetrock, Sean, but I think sheetrock on the walls behind you and the wood in the ceiling would be. I think so too, and that's what I'm kind of thinking of the transition of materials too. But then if I get too much sheetrock in here, then I've got a house. I don't have a cabin anymore, and so I have to find the happy medium for me. You pay Pine Tongue and Groove like we did. Seems like a waste, but the cost is similar and easier to install. So the cost for Pine Tongue and Groove up here, Jay, is ridiculous. Because if the cost was the same, I would already have Pine Tongue and Groove on the wall. It's ridiculous. So one, 12-foot, 6-inch wide pine tongue and groove board is $15 up here. It's crazy. I am going to do that though. I'm going to whitewash pine tongue and groove for the kitchen, for the ceiling in the kitchen. Um, but yeah, it's the cost of lumber in Alaska is horrific. Karen is having homemade lasagna and homemade garlic bread and apple pie. Oh, I'm there with the apple pie too. That is a good meal, Karen. Every part of that meal I would eat. And good night, and thanks for popping in. It is always good to see you. Hope you're having a fantastic. I hope you have a fantastic week in Ireland this week. It's my usual teacup for my daughter, Ashley, and me. That's why I'll mill the cottonwood for the ceiling, right? Yes, exactly. Then plane it to size on site. Man, if I had a mill, I've actually thought because there's a lot of trees that have to come down on the property this year, and I might look at milling some of that wood myself. It's not going to be big wood, but if I have 50 trees here that are probably going to have to come down, and if I could get a couple of boards out of each one of those trees, it would be well worth it. Even if they're not long boards, if even if they're only 6 foot long, if I can get some decent wood out of it, it'd be worthwhile. So I might invest in an Alaskan chainsaw mill. There's no way I'll buy an actual mill. I would love to have one, but I can't justify that. Junior, thanks for popping in. Great to see you as always. See you next week, and I'll see you on Instagram. I follow Junior on Instagram. Him and I are friends there. Michigan Daffodil, you as well. Greatly appreciated. Folks, we are winding down right now. We're just about to the end. I want to thank each and every one of you for spending an hour of your Sunday with me, especially when, we got the football going on and everything. And there's always stuff going on in your lives, or in your lives. And I greatly appreciate the fact that you take some time out and spend it with me. I am Sean in Alaska, and we got a ton of stuff going on. Uh, it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be a very fun year. What do we have here? Just look for places that are missing any trees whatsoever because it's probably pretty swampy. That's the easiest thing I can tell you right off the bat. So when you look at an aerial photograph, if you see a bunch of trees, you're probably going to have some dry land there. If they're bigger size, if they're small, little black spruce, it's probably real moist too. But avoid the stuff that doesn't have drainage. Yeah, man, I would trust me. Yeah, if I could, if we had somebody up here milling it like that, I would buy directly from them. All right, we're at the end, guys. Thank you very much. We've just run over an hour. Have a fantastic week as always. Thank you. I am Sean in Alaska, and I think I'm going to turn the generator off and start dinner. Have a great weekend, guys. Talk to you later. Bye bye.